Sepsis. This video will help explain an experiment designed to prevent neonatal sepsis in developing parts of India. But first, what even is sepsis? Sepsis is a life-threatening response and reaction to an infection. It sets off a chain reaction in your body that starts off as tissue damage but can potentially lead to death. Sepsis causes devastating deaths in early infancy, specifically in developing parts of the world. To try to prevent sepsis from developing, researchers tested an oral symbiotic preparation of L. plantarum in infants in India.
The most important part of testing this symbiotic is to first understand how sepsis affects the body. A bowel perforation leaks bacteria-filled fluid into the bloodstream. This infected fluid then enters the blood, causing a series of complex immunologic reactions. One of the more large and adverse causes for the infection that brings about sepsis in the United States can be directly tied into what we have learned in Module 1, the adaptation of antibiotic resistance. A common cause of infection are bacteria entering the bloodstream with immunity to treatment, possibly even left over from previous use of antibiotics to fight infection. The blood vessels then leak this fluid out into surrounding tissues, which then prevents the body from proper blood distribution. There is decreased blood flow to organs, which causes not only tissues to swell, but also nutrients to not properly exchange. Next, organs start failing. Acute renal failure in the kidneys leads to acute respiratory distress in the lungs, which leads to heart failure. After the heart fails, the ending result is death.
In this experiment, sepsis was treated with a symbiotic, which refers to the use of both a prebiotic and a probiotic. Probiotics are defined as a microbial food product that affects the intestinal tract of the host. Prebiotics and probiotics work together by first introducing prebiotics into the body. Prebiotics are a source of fiber and nutrients for probiotics. Probiotics are alive, so they need a food source for survival. So probiotics then feed on prebiotics.
The mechanisms of different probiotics in improving health vary from strain to strain. In this study, experiments tested the impact of L. plantarum in infants with sepsis. L. plantarum is a strain belonging to the Lactobacillus species of bacteria. That's the L. Lactobacillus is one of the most commonly used probiotics along with another bacteria species, Bifidobacterium. These probiotics work by producing lactic acid, acetic acid, and propionic acid. The production of these acids lowers the pH in the intestines, ultimately limiting the growth of different pathogens and restoring the balance in the gut flora, the community of bacteria and other microorganisms residing in the digestive tract. The mechanisms of probiotics exhibit relations to Module 2 of Biology 1510 in terms of interspecific competition. According to Nair and Surasam, one of the means of how probiotics may protect against sepsis is through competitive exclusion of dangerous pathogens. As learned in this course, competition results in negative outcomes for both species present. In the niche of the human digestive system, pathogens that may trigger sepsis will thrive. They will have more resources that are accessible under circumstances of less energy expenditure. Enter lactobacillus. Now, the pathogens must compete with the probiotics for a finite amount of resources, thus expending a greater amount of energy, inhibiting their growth and reproduction.
This experiment randomly chose 149 villages in Oshida State where infant mortality due to sepsis is high. They tested infants by orally administering the symbiotic L. plantarum. 2,278 infants received a placebo, and 2,278 infants received the treatment. After the study was over, the data regarding deaths, presence of sepsis, and LRTIs was collected. This experiment had a successful outcome, with a 42% decrease in the number of infants dying from sepsis. All components of sepsis were decreased in the group of infants that were given the treatment.
The results in this experiment provide a basis for new studies in newborn biology. There is a key period of time in the first days of life in which infants should be exposed to the symbiotic to greater receive the benefits of treatment. The success of this experiment provides a brighter outlook for the future of sepsis in India and around the world.